Does it ever feel like everyone online is telling you to quit your job, that you're not really living until you escape the 9-to-5 trap, or that true fulfillment comes from being your own boss? Or better yet, if you want to be rich one day, you will never get there clocking in and out of an office job.
Anyone that's working 9 to 5, it's like, then your life can't be about getting rich.
That guy in the clip, by the way, is literally the dude they made Wolf of Wall Street about. The one who went to jail for fraud and never felt like he had enough money, even after making tens of millions of dollars. Anyways, you've heard the messages like his, but here is mine. Not everyone should quit their 9-to-5 job. I know, I'm sure it seems like some jaded corporate schmuck advice compared to the messages that glorify quitting your job. Maybe some people think that I am gatekeeping entrepreneurship or tricking people into staying poor and lame, but no, my opinion here comes from personal experience, the data around who really gets rich, and from frustration over how the internet frames traditional jobs. Honestly, it can be pretty toxic. Because here's the deal. Quitting your job to run your own business is not the only way to live. It's not the only path to success, nor is it the only way to get rich. It's actually not a guaranteed path to success or wealth at all. And I think for a lot of people, they would be richer and happier staying in a traditional job. But there's obviously a whole lot of nuance here, which is why I want to talk about this today. Because while the internet hates nuance and loves black and white thinking, here we like to encourage those gray areas. So let's talk about how the internet romanticizes quitting your job, including how influencers have fueled that romanticization. Let's talk about how to decide if you truly should quit a job and whether you'll end up regretting it. And let's talk about how people wanting to quit their 9-to-5s is actually a sign of how desperately modern work needs to shift. Like, we are way overdue for a change. If you're new here, I'm Cara and I make videos about the intersection of money, media, and culture. If you like this video, you'll also like my video about the golden handcuff trap, so go watch that after this one. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram, give me a follow at the financialfreedomgirl, where I am trying to post more short videos. So according to a 2023 survey, nearly 60% of Americans dream of quitting their jobs to become entrepreneurs. And when you watch videos of people who've quit their 9-to-5s, especially people who decided to take the jump and figure things out later, we see a certain survivorship bias take place. This means we see people who, quote, made it, and we assume that that's how every story goes. We don't see if they had family help. We don't know if they knew the right people. We don't see if they're subsidizing their life on credit card debt. I don't say this to be a pessimist. Those who know me personally know that I'm very, very much an optimist, and I love when people take a bet on themselves, but I also like when people make decisions strategically and not impulsively. And as someone who has quit their job to become an entrepreneur, last year I left my career in tech to go full-time with YouTube, I need to stress this one point. You do not have to test out entrepreneurship by torching all of your stability. You don't have to quit your job to start something new. Like I said, in media, we cling to these romantic, dramatic narratives of a person who quits their job or leaves school to start a business and get rich, but that's almost never the real story. For example, yes, Mark Zuckerberg left Harvard to build Facebook, but he'd been building it as a student beforehand. He didn't leave until it was showing real potential. Or think about Chappell Roan with music. It might have seemed like she was an overnight success, but that's because media narratives flatten stories to make them interesting soundbites. They leave out the years and years beforehand that she was grinding making music while working at a drive-thru. In my experience, it was incredibly helpful to work a 9-to-5 while building a business at the same time. It gave me the cushion to experiment and figure out what I wanted to do without constantly worrying about having to pay the bills. And it made it so I could build a big emergency fund for when I eventually did take the leap. And so if you're wanting to start something, don't jump the gun and quit your job immediately so that you can focus on the business. It's a false dichotomy, especially since nowadays there are so many tools to help you start a project or a business without having to quit your day job. One of those great tools is actually today's sponsor, Replit, which allows you to build real functioning apps without any background or skills in coding. You just tell Replit what you want your app to do, and it'll create a working app you can use right away for your side hustle, your business, or even just for fun. Say you want to create an app that organizes your vendors for you, or you want to build a custom booking system for your freelance business. Or maybe you want to make a party game you can play with your friends at your birthday. I had Hat Cara, my alter ego who spends all of her money on hats, create a couple of apps using Replit, and even she was able to whip up a few in a matter of minutes. Okay, I don't love how you said even she can do it, but it's true. It was insanely easy. First, I used Replit to build an app that logs and organizes my closet's hat collection. section? See, I need a way to catalog my hats and filter them out so I can find the perfect one for every occasion. And boom, now I have an app for that. But I didn't stop there. I also use Replit to whip up a game I call Hat Quest, where you can win by collecting all of my colored hats in an arena. Let me just say, if Cara can do that in under 15 minutes, anyone can. Hey! But seriously, using Replit blew my mind. If you have ever wanted to create an app, go check out Replit. You can get started completely for free, and they have tiers for teams and enterprises too. Go to replit.com/refer/Cara Nicole and try it yourself. The link will also be down below. And let me know if you end up making any hat-themed apps for yourself. And a big thank you to Replit for sponsoring today's video. All right, so returning to the tension of quitting your 9-to-5 and why not everyone should quit their job. It's like there are these two extreme camps on opposite sides. You have folks like parents or teachers saying that a traditional job is the only way to live, that anything else is just gonna leave you broke and drained. And then you have online stories making it seem like quitting is the only path to true happiness. It feels like this is reinforced even more by influencers and the crazy lifestyles we see in our feeds. You'll see a TikTok creator talking about making over $700,000 in 1 year. You can listen to a YouTuber talk about making 40 grand a month while working only 10 hours a week. And you can read insane quotes like this one from business guru Grant Cardone, who says, quote, "If you ever want to be a millionaire, you need to stop doing the 9-to-5 and start doing 95. 95 as in 95 hours a week rather than 40. Honestly though, I don't think we can take this guy that seriously because his social media strategy is all about professionally rage baiting.
Well, I would tell you 100% drop out of college.
And you know, he's pretty good at it. Like, listen to what he said about making $400,000 a year.
If I made 400 grand a year, I would be embarrassed with myself as a husband, a father, basically as a human being.
Bottom line is that it starts feeling like there are two enemy camps that are impossibly different. You can only choose one, a 9-to-5 job or the life of an entrepreneur, and that choice becomes part of your identity. This kind of tension and the way that work starts intertwining with our identities reminds me a lot of the recent internet drama that happened with the creator Hub's Life. For those who don't know, Hub's Life is a creator who documents his day-to-day life in these silent, kind of relaxing videos. He's very famous for the crazy slow way that he puts his computer in a bag. But lately he's also been getting attention because he quit his 9-to-5 job to pursue content full-time while still documenting the mundane repetition of his life for content. People felt like this was being disingenuous and he was being fake. They even went as far as to say that he betrayed the ideals that originally got him famous, which was telling people that you can live a happy, fulfilled life in a normal job. Now, I already know that my take is gonna get me some flack in the comments because people would probably love to hear me dogpile on this dude, but honestly, I don't think what he did deserves the backlash that he's gotten. To me, the drama with Hub's Life seemed like it had little to do with him as an individual and way more to do with how much pressure the internet puts on our jobs to be our identities, and transparently, the pressure influencers have with parasocial relationships. I know, influencer complaining about being an influencer. Woe is us. No, but I think people weren't just mad that Hub's Life quit to do content full-time. They were mad that his day in the life content was no longer within the context of a relatable corporate job. Even though a lot of the physical actions you take running a business and working a traditional 9-to-5 look the exact same. You sit at a desk, you stare at a computer, you answer a lot of emails. Or in Hub's Life case, you still put your computer in a bag at 0.5x speed. Whether Hub's Life meant to or not, that consistency in the routine ends up reinforcing my larger point in this video, which is that a good life is not determined by whether you work a 9-to-5 job or quit one. If you think that's what makes or breaks a good life, it's probably because hustle culture tells you so. It wants us to believe that our job is an indicator of our worth or that there's one right path to take. But spoiler, there's not. I'm at risk of being so cliche already, but the grass is greener where you water it feels very appropriate here.
Okay, Cara, we get it. You want everyone to believe that they're special, but come on.
You don't really believe that everyone would stay at a 9-to-5 job if given the choice, and you certainly can't believe that someone could grow real wealth just working a 9-to-5. Wrong, and wrong again. Let's tackle the wealth question first, because I feel like it's a huge misconception that you can't become wealthy or retire early with a 9-to-5 alone. alone. And yet so many people do it. And I'm not talking billionaire level wealth. Yeah, to get on that level, you're probably gonna have to quit your 9-to-5 job or just be born into the right family. But millionaire next door status, absolutely possible. One of the beauties of a 9-to-5 job is the steady paycheck and the benefits. Because with a steady paycheck, you can set aside regular amounts of money to invest. You don't have to worry as much about income fluctuation. So say you put aside $250 a month starting at age 25 into something like the S&P 500. With an assumed 9% annual growth, you'd end up as a millionaire by age 65. Say you really stick to a budget and manage to put aside $1,000 a month instead. Now you are looking at over $4 million by the time you retire. Throw in benefits like 401k company match and company paid health insurance, or the fact that you'll likely make more money as you progress in your career, and a 9-to-5 job can very realistically push you even higher in the millions. That is the power of compounding. Those steady contributions invested consistently snowball into serious wealth. You don't need to build a startup that IPOs or launch a social media empire. A stable paycheck plus smart investing is enough to set you up for incredible options. Maybe you work part-time, maybe you retire early, or maybe you keep going because you genuinely love your job. If you ever do want to quit your 9-to-5, the smartest way to do that is by using that financial stability to your advantage. Build an emergency fund, test out a side hustle while you still have a paycheck. Let your 9-to-5 bankroll your business experiments instead of forcing them to carry your entire livelihood from day one. So that is the financial side of the coin. But how about this belief that we're all secretly wanting to quit our 9-to-5s and do our own thing? And by do our own thing, I do mean running a business that makes money, not like you're given $10 million to go watch Netflix and swim in the ocean. To that belief, I would say my suspicion, and obviously I have no way of proving this, so I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. But my belief is that this collective desire to quit our 9-to-5 jobs is less about everyone wanting to be an entrepreneur and way more to do with how much our modern work systems need to change. Like, what if our work weeks were shorter? I mean, when we have studied shorter work weeks, the results have shown that productivity stays the same, sometimes it even goes up. Or what if we had better pay transparency and health insurance that wasn't tied to our employers? What if parental leave wasn't just a couple of weeks max, but months or a whole year? And what if work culture encouraged boundaries and taking time off rather than hustle culture and always being available? I really think that those kinds of changes would alter how we all feel about our jobs, because deep down, I think that humans enjoy working. I think that we thrive when we have goals and we have tasks, but we're not going to thrive if we barely feel like we're surviving or if work norms don't make sense anymore. So no, I don't think that everyone should quit their 9-to-5 jobs. For so many people, it just doesn't make sense financially, and quitting certainly isn't some promised path to happiness or fulfillment. But I do think that the frustration people have with their jobs can give us clues about how work culture needs to evolve. So the next time you see a viral video glorifying quitting your 9-to-5, pause and reflect on what you actually want deep down. What aligns with your goals and your values, not the ones that some internet guru is trying to sell you. And if your goal really is to quit your 9-to-5, that is awesome. Start mapping out a plan, build that runway, and make sure that you're doing it from a place of power and not panic. And if your goal is to actually stay in your 9-to-5, grow your career, and use that as a tool for financial freedom, that is awesome too, because the truth is there's no one right path. There's just the path that works for you. But what do you think? Have you ever felt pressure to quit your job, or maybe the opposite, pressure to stay? And what do you think about the argument that not everyone should quit their 9-to-5? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and what topics you'd like to see me cover next. If you like this video, go watch my video about the golden handcuffs trap, which is what happens when you feel stuck in a high-paying job. I think you're really gonna like that one. Thank you so much to my patrons on Patreon for supporting this video, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!